Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. This is Colorado Living. Today I'm talking about everything you need to know in regards to the Colorado market, and it's not going to be just a boring market update. I'm going to tell you whether or not you should actually be thinking about buying in this market. If that's something that you're interested in, go ahead and keep on watching. But before we get started, I have to let you guys know I am a licensed realtor here in this beautiful state. So if relocating is something that you are interested in, go ahead and reach out. My number is popping up and my email. Go ahead, text, call, email, whatever works best for you guys. I love talking to you, and I love talking to you guys via Zoom, setting up all those appointments and helping you guys make the best decision for you and your family. But let's go ahead and get started in today's video. Alright guys, so I'm not going to go over all the boring stats that probably every other realtor and their mother is talking about in regards to how many houses are on the market, how many this, how many that. I think that we all know that unfortunately for the naysayers, we are not having a crash anytime soon. We are definitely in a supply and demand issue. And thank God it is actually shifting, and now we are starting to see a little bit more supply now that interest rates have gone up. So we will get into interest rates right away and how that will affect you and whether or not the interest rates is really gonna affect whether or not you think you wanna buy. So interest rates in the last 2 years probably have been around 2.5% to 3.5%, which is essentially free money that the government has been giving away, which has caused a massive incline of people wanting to purchase homes because they have more buying power than they ever had before. Unfortunately, for people that don't have tons and tons of cash out of pocket, that means that the demand for these houses is 10 times more, and you have to pay 10 times more out of pocket and or above the list price. So going past the interest rates from before in the last 2 years, we'll go ahead and talk about the interest rates now and how it actually is a benefit for a lot of people that you might have not even thought about. So we'll talk about that. It's gonna be 5.5%. So every day I swear that the interest rates are changing. So don't quote me on today's video. If you want to know more about the interest rates, reach out and I will put you in contact with the lender. She is amazing and she will go over interest rates. Interest rates involve a lot of different things like credit score, debt to income, and many different variables that I can't even tell you exactly what your interest rate will be, but it'll be around 5.5% depending on the day, hour, minute, whatever. So this means that your payment from say 3.5% to 5.5%, your monthly payment is going to go up, which I know that sounds a little crazy and no one wants that, but there are a lot of good benefits that people aren't talking about when it comes to higher interest rates. Higher interest rates means more inventory, and more inventory means that people are actually able to shop nowadays, which I think that's like amazing. Whenever I bought my home like middle of the whole situation, right? So like I think it's been a little bit over a year now and prices were going crazy. People were paying 50, 60, I mean 100K over the list price, and some of that was in cash, unfortunately. And like most people, I don't just have tons of cash laying around to pay these extreme price increases on houses that aren't necessarily worth that price. So what's nice now is people aren't having to do that. They can actually shop for homes and not pay 100K over. You can actually potentially pay 50K less. I mean, it just depends on the house and how long it's been on the market for. But with houses sitting closer to 2 weeks, a month and a half on some houses, you actually have the option to take a look at different homes. So I'm gonna go into exactly what group of people should really be looking at buying right now. Okay, so the people that should be buying, we'll go into the first one, people that are contingent. So a contingent offer is someone that has to sell in order to buy. So a lot of my relocation people, if you live in a different state, obviously, then you are potentially needing to sell your home. We have tons and tons of agents that we partner across the nation with, and they are going to be your prime contacts if you're looking to relocate, because it is not an easy process. I have to talk to them, they have to talk to the title company has to talk to their title company. There's a lot of different variables, and I do not want you guys to be homeless for any period of time because someone did not communicate properly. So anyways, very important if you have a contingent offer to have a good agent that knows what they're talking about and knows contingencies like the back of my hand. Luckily, I specialize in contingencies, and they are not just a walk in the park. There's a lot of different variables that go into that. But why contingent offers right now are it's a lot easier to get your offers accepted, and why I think people that are contingent should be looking right now is because you can actually sell your house and have time to find another one. In the last year and a half to 2 years, it has been so competitive with a lot of the contingent offers that I had, like sellers had to sell and I was helping them buy as well. I was very stressed, to say the least, as well as the seller/buyers, my clients. They were stressed too, because it is very hard to find a house when there are seriously no houses available, like a supply and demand issue like we had in the last 2 years. And then also when there's even when you do find a house that you like, there's 20 plus offers and people are offering 50, 60, 80K. So depending on what your situation is, right? And then also on top of all of those different variables, in the last 2 years, contingencies were pretty much like you weren't gonna get your offer accepted unless you were really paying like the big bucks above every single other person, because you were a risk. Now, a lot of the times is you can actually list your home, find a buyer, and then go and start looking for another home, which feels so much better. You actually have options. You know you'll probably find something that you like, because instead of say 5 houses coming available in 1 week, you have a good 20 houses coming available. So it really widens your options, and whether or not the interest rate necessarily affects you, we're gonna talk about budget, and that's another thing that, is it a good time for you to buy? Well, it depends on your budget. But going into contingency still, I think that it's a really great time for people that do have contingent offers to buy right now, and you don't have to ask me the same question that all contingent people are asking is like, yes, I can sell my house, but where am I going to move to? You actually have options. You don't have to give up all your equity from your current home sale and put it into this. You can actually just, put a normal down payment down, closing costs, and then you have tons of extra cash to furnish the house. You have cash to pay off debt or whatever you feel is best for you and your family, but you don't have to pay 100K over right now, which just, thank you, Jesus, you can actually shop. It just feels really good as an agent. I'm sure you've heard this from other people. I am so excited for a lot of buyers, as I primarily work with a lot of buyers. They can actually look, and we don't have to stress as much, and they can be happy, and they can make that transition without tons and tons of stress. So going into the next one, first-time home buyers. Right now, yes, the interest rate is a little bit higher, right? But again, it only affects your monthly payment, maybe $200 to $300. Just depends on what price point you're in. But first-time home buyers, you can actually, again, shop. And another thing, right now, with how, there's less people shopping out there, more inventory, homes are sitting for a little bit longer, which means that you're seeing more price decreases, you're seeing homes just sitting for longer, and then you're also seeing people and sellers willing to actually pay for your closing costs, which means less money out of pocket. There's other things besides closing costs too. If you're really concerned about your monthly payment, there's a thing called a 2-1 buy down. We can talk to the lender about that all together and kind of go over your options there. But that will lessen your payment by, it could be a couple $100 for the first 2 years, and then you go up to a regular payment, and hopefully you can refinance by then, and then drop your payment down even lower, which would be awesome. But point being is like the seller will pay for these things for you, and you don't have to come out of pocket a million bajillion dollars, because a lot of the times when we're first time home buyers, we just don't have that kind of cash lying around, because a lot of the times the cash comes from the house that you buy. So having a house is better than having no house, in my opinion, just because you have so much wiggle room with cash and assets. Like if I wanted to sell my house today, I could make 100K, you know, and that's just, I'm giving an example of numbers, but if I had 100K, I could use, you know, a 30K of that to buy my next house, and then I could have, you know, the other, 70K in order to pay off debt, buy a new car, whatever, give my kids money for school. You know, there's tons of different variables like I mentioned before. Or you could put more money down and you could get a bigger house, a nicer house, whatever. There's totally a lot of different options whenever you already own a property. But for first time home buyers, we don't have all this cash in the world to just drop on a property. So now you can actually ask the seller for what's called seller concessions, aka closing costs, aka, you know, the money for repairs or whatever. You can ask them for money, you can ask for a price decrease. I mean, you actually have different variables. Next one is going to be people that are upgrading. So again, this goes into the same thing as kind of like the contingent offers. People that are upgrading into a home probably want to sell their house in order to use that money, whether or not they have to, but they typically want to use that money from the sale of their house in order to purchase the new one and put the down payment and closing costs and all of that stuff. And now we actually have inventory. It's all about inventory. I'm so happy again. I keep mentioning it, but it's actually a time for buyers to buy. This last 2 years has been so tough for so many buyers, and I have had a lot of people that unfortunately just ended up getting priced out of the market because of the insane equity that people have gained over these last 2 years. I mean, prices were increasing by 10, 20, 30K a month, depending on the neighborhood and city. So again, upgrading people, if you are thinking that you want to get a bigger home, now is definitely the time, because you have a lot more options and you don't have to pay as much as you did, say, a year ago. Going into relocation people, that's probably why you're watching this video if you're thinking of moving to the Denver area. I love helping you guys again, and I also relocated here, so I really know how you feel. Relocation is tough because sometimes we unfortunately don't have the option, and I have a lot of clients who are, say, military or have a new job opportunity that they just cannot pass up and they have to move here quickly. So with relocation people, honestly, you know, there's a lot of the times where we don't have the option, but now at least you can actually get here and start shopping around. Unfortunately, rents are going to continue to increase, and so it's nice to know that you have the option to purchase instead of renting, because the rental market is absolutely insane, and I don't see it slowing down anytime soon. With how that works is, you know, with investors, if they are getting a loan on that house, they are going to pay just as much as you for that home, and there's going to be an upcharge for a rental. That's just how it works. That's how investors make their money. If their, you know, mortgage is $2,000, they're not going to rent it out for $2,000, unfortunately. So you might as well take advantage of what you can get right now rather than renting. But there's also options for my relocation people that are thinking they want to move here, or they want to live here for a couple months before they exactly decide what neighborhood they want to go into and buy. I've mentioned it in my other videos, but there's rental options that are more short term. We can talk about that in the Zoom meetings. But going on to the next thing, we are going to talk about budgeting. Okay, getting into budget and how you actually pick a budget, the main thing that you want to do first is talk to the lender. The lender is the person that's going to help you truly set a budget. You can have an idea as a family what maybe your monthly budget is. Say, okay, we don't feel comfortable with having more than a $3,000 car payment, $3,000 mortgage payment, and that is definitely a good way to set a budget. And then you can let the lender know that, and then they can kind of go over exactly how to figure out what your actual price point will be based off of your interest rates and all of that. But unfortunately, I can't set the budget, and truly the lender is the best person to help you set a budget because it'll help you actually start being able to look for homes. You know, in this video is going to be, a lot of people are asking me, hey Nicole, do you see the prices going down? And I just want to mention something really quick on what I think we're seeing when we see the prices going down is that typically over the last 2 years, the sellers have been able to really price their homes on the high end of the market. So as a realtor, we kind of base our comps off of a low, medium, and high value rate. And that's based off of other comparables in the neighborhood. So say there was a home for sale 6 months ago that was priced at $800,000 and sold for $850,000. A lot of people are seeing that the next seller in the neighborhood is going to list their home for $850,000, thinking that they can now get $850,000. But unfortunately, the market is just not the same, and we cannot push the limit on that high end any longer. So they are slowly starting to realize that they have to be more reasonable on the prices and get closer to that 800 and maybe even a little bit lower than 800, just depending on the neighborhood and what is selling within that 6-month period. And I think that a lot of people get confused on that when they're seeing all these prices decrease on a lot of homes and houses sitting for longer. It really has to do with the pricing and what you price at, because I have had houses that I've listed that sell within the weekend or say a week or two, just depending on the inventory in that area, versus if we priced high because the seller wanted to price high, then it's going to sit for longer. And then as we know that the market is just going to continue hopefully to get more inventory based off of interest rates and all of that, we will continue to see prices, and sellers have to realize that they cannot price their homes for the extreme amounts that they were before. Doesn't mean their houses in this area or in this state are actually worth less. It's just that we can't push the limits to the limits that we were pushing them before, if that makes sense. Hopefully it does. I know I'm a rambler kind of person sometimes, but I think I made sense in that. Another thing is date the rate and marry the house. I know that is kind of like a weird saying, but when it comes to a lot of people and they're scared of the interest rates, date the rate, marry the house, which is essentially what it sounds like. You do not have to have the same interest rate forever. Interest rates go up and down, and in the next couple years or so, people are saying that the interest rates are going to go down. Right now, they're really trying to combat inflation, and to do that, they are keeping the interest rates higher. But once we are able to help the inflation, which as of this last month, when I watched the video of the professionals talking, the government talking, they said that inflation has actually gone down a little bit this last month, which is awesome, but they are still going to keep high interest rates just to continuously combat that inflation, which I think that's really good for everybody. The whole last 2 years was really a jackpot and unsustainable for the real estate market. And I'm really, really excited to see what these next 2 years look like for everybody. And I know that we can really help a ton of buyers get into homes, and also sellers that are, again, contingent, looking to upgrade, relocation, and first-time home buyers. Those are the main people that need to be serious about buying/selling right now. Guys, that's it for today. today's video. Hopefully you enjoyed it and you found value and you now know everything there is to know about the Denver market and who should be looking in this type of market. If you did, or if you thought this video was valuable, go ahead and shoot me a like. Also, if you want more content like this, you can go ahead and subscribe. I make videos every Monday and Wednesday. But until next time, I have to let you guys know, last thing, I am a licensed realtor here in this beautiful state. So my number's popping up, my email's there as well. You guys can reach out to me day, night, text, call, email, all of the things. I love helping you guys relocate here. I know it's tough, I know it's stressful, especially in this market. So go ahead and reach out to me and we will set up a Zoom appointment. I'll help you find the perfect neighborhood and the perfect house. But until next time, I'll see you guys later. Bye.